You're listening to This Is My Side Hustle. The tips, tools, and advice you need to optimize your life live here. If you're looking to unlock the secrets to additional income by engineering your choices around your ideal lifestyle, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and join us as we unpack unconventional ideas and methods to give you more freedom and flexibility. Let's escape the rat race together and live with intention. Let's learn how others are making it pay with their side hustles. Welcome to episode 2 of This Is My Side Hustle. Today we're going to be talking about how to start a virtual assistant business. Now the reason I'm starting with this particular side hustle is because I've been running a virtual assistant business now for 4 years. I started out with just 5 hours a week in my spare time as a side hustle and have grown it to be my full-time income, I should say, but not with full-time hours. One of the reasons I think that a virtual assistant business is a fantastic side hustle to start is that it really doesn't take very many skills to get started, and the pay is fairly reasonable. The clients are plentiful. You don't need any specific certifications or degrees, and the overhead really can't be beat. If you already have access to high-speed internet and you have a smartphone and a laptop, then you don't need to invest in any other kind of hardware. It would make sense if you do have a place in your home that's quiet where you can work, but you really don't have to have a dedicated home office. For a while, I worked out of my bedroom in a little area with a desk set up, and that worked perfectly fine. For a while, when I first started, I actually worked in my kitchen, right on the countertop. So you don't need to have any specific things already. You probably already have everything you need to at least get started. As far as monthly costs go, let me just give you my actual costs, and then I'll tell you how much income I'm bringing in at the moment and what I'm spending that money on. I'll start with the items that you're definitely going to want to spend money on in the beginning. The first would be a domain name and website hosting. Even if you decide to not have an LLC and you're going to be doing your virtual assistant freelancing very part-time only and just a few hours a week, and you always want to keep it that way, then you probably don't need to get an LLC. If you do, that price varies per state, but I highly recommend, if you're going to be spending more than 5 hours a week on your virtual assistant business and you're going to treat it like a business, that you do spend maybe a couple $100 on filing for an LLC. But you do not have to do that off the bat. You can be a sole proprietor, and that will be okay. If you are a sole proprietor and you do not get your LLC, you definitely, absolutely want to get error and omissions insurance, which runs about $30 a month. So I would definitely say do that until you decide that you want to get an LLC, and you probably ought to still keep that insurance. It's just a good thing to have, but you definitely want to have it if you don't have your assets protected and you're leaving yourself wide open by being a sole proprietor. So besides those things that you want to consider right from the beginning, you ideally will want to have a website. So when you file your business name, and you can pick something that's a doing business as, or you can use your name. If you're going to be a sole proprietor, you could just be If I wanted to do that and it was very part-time, I could just be Sherry Stotler, virtual assistant. And I'm doing business as Sherry Stotler. So I wouldn't have to register anything. However, there's a ton of benefits by registering a business name. That, again, that's under $100 in most states. And if you do register a business name, then you legally would have rights to buy a domain with that business name. You're going to want to make sure it's not already registered. There's several things that I go over in my Making It Pay Lifestyle course of ways to find that out. Legal things you need to check before you do that, but I'm not going to get into all of those details on this podcast episode. I'm just telling you things you need to consider. So a domain name from a place like SiteGround, which I highly recommend for domain names and website hosting. Domain names are about $15, and then you just have it. They renew every year, so it's a little over $1 per month, but you pay it all up front. So $15 for a domain name. For website hosting, you can get SiteGround's basic website hosting. I highly recommend SiteGround. Do not use GoDaddy for domains or hosting. Do not use Bluehost. They have horrible customer service. I used to recommend them, but they had some company changes that really were not good for their company. So I do not recommend Bluehost anymore or GoDaddy whatsoever. I highly recommend SiteGround. They are well known in the website development world for having excellent customer service, and unless you're a website designer, that's going to be your best bet. So hosting can run anywhere from like $36 to $50 a year up to $300 a year, depending on what package you need. You're just going to set up a very basic website for your virtual assistant business, so just go with the cheapest option. So $50, you've got your domain, you've got your hosting for a year, you're good to go. You can get free themes if you'd like directly from WordPress. I highly suggest you use WordPress and not Wix and not Weebly. They are both horrible for SEO purposes, and you want to get found. You want people to find you. And you'll come off a lot more professional to your clients if you're not using a branded Wix or Weebly site. And if you learn how to do your own basic site in WordPress, which it's quite simple to do, and there's plenty of tutorials out there. In fact, I have a fairly detailed one in the Making It Pay Lifestyle course. But if you go with WordPress, you're going to be able to serve a lot more clients who usually use WordPress, and you'll be able to do basic updates and blog posting and SEO on their sites. So that's one quick skill to get under your belt by learning on your own site and then getting better and practicing your own blogging, your own website page updates, and then you can help your clients with at least the basics without too many trainings or in-depth courses for website development. Now, besides your website and your domain name and any kind of insurances or business registration fees, the only other paid, I guess I should say, service you should probably pay for would be either Google for Work, like G Suite account, which is $5 per month, so that you can have your email address with your domain name connected to Google Drive. That way you can share everything with your clients. Or you could get a free Dropbox account, which may run out quickly, and use your domain name email with Dropbox, if that makes sense, because you're going to want to have some kind of in the cloud central place to share files with your clients. Now, I'm going to run down real quickly all of the things that I currently pay for, my total monthly expenses as of this going live is $324. Let me tell you what my expenses are, and then if I think you need to do this right off the bat. Most of these you will not. I pay for, well, actually my expenses are less than that because I'm looking at some of these things and I have several businesses under one umbrella LLC for my virtual assistant business. And because I run all my books through my one LLC, I put expenses for all of my businesses in that bucket, if that makes sense. So I pay $9 a month for ActiveCampaign, but I actually don't use that for my virtual assistant business. I use that for making it pay lifestyle and making it pay to stay and this podcast. So I actually still use the free MailChimp email service for my virtual assistant business. So that would be perfectly fine. Let me be frank here. If you are just going to have a virtual assistant business, when you're getting started, you're not probably going to have a huge email list. So you might as well just go with something basic for free like MailChimp, where you maybe periodically send out newsletters. If you're not training other people or selling any kind of digital products and you're just selling services, MailChimp is perfectly fine for you. I pay $10 a month. It's actually $120 a year because you get a discount if you pay up front for Canva for Work. This is one I highly recommend for virtual assistants to get because I do a million things in Canva every single day. I literally use it so many times every day. I don't think there's a day that goes by where I am not inside of Canva. And Canva for Work gives you a lot more options. You can make images that are transparent. You can do videos. You can share files with clients. And for $10 a month, I mean, you really can't beat it for everything you get. You get thousands and thousands of royalty-free images right in Canva alone. And they are adding to their features every single month, it seems. And they're making it better and better. So I highly suggest you do get a Canva for Work account. You could just learn it when you're first getting started with the free Canva account and maybe encourage your first client to pay for a Canva for Work and add you as a team member. That's definitely an option, but I prefer to use Canva for Work because the cost of what it is and all of the businesses that I'm running, it's well worth it to me. My next expense is my cell phone. I used to use Virgin Mobile because they had some of the best rates around and they didn't have a contract. I hate contracts for cell phones. I like being able to choose what I want and who I want when I want it and move around if I find a better deal. So my husband and I have not been in any kind of cell phone clients for contracts, for probably about 10 years now. But I recently found out about a new cell phone service called Mint Mobile. And Mint uses the big three services for all of their towers. So depending on where you're at, they will use the closest tower. And if you go to their website, I believe it's mintmobile.com, and I'll put a link in the show notes. You can check coverages and everything, but they basically give you the best of the big three, I should say, the big three mobile providers, which are Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint, I believe, or maybe T-Mobile also is in there. So they'll figure out where you live, which company will give you the best coverage and use their towers, and you can get started for as little as $15 a month. I use their $20 a month plan, and I pay in advance yearly because it's actually a better plan than that, but when you pay for 12 months, it's $240, so it's $20 a month. And it's all I need. And I get great coverage, better than I did with Virgin, and I don't run out of texts or minutes, or there's nothing like that. You don't have to worry about that. They do have a few data caps, but I am constantly using my phone for work, and I've never even come close to a data cap. So they might throttle you if you're literally streaming on your phone 24/7, but honestly, you cannot beat the price for that. And if you sign up with my link, and I will put the link in the show notes, you will get $15 off your first month. So you could either get your first month free or pay like $5 for your first month. So you really can't beat that. So that's my next expense. Internet is another expense I run through my business because my business requires me to have internet. Now, let's be honest. Pretty much everybody has high-speed internet at their house. But it's not a necessity. But if you have a business, especially if you're a virtual assistant, it's a necessity. So I expense our entire internet bill through my business. And we have Comcast Xfinity, which I hate, but it's literally the only option where we live. The price was normally about $95 a month just for internet, and I do get the highest speed available. But I call them every year and I ask them to please lower my rate, and they do it. So I only pay $63 a month. So there's a little quick money saving tip for you. Call your internet company or any other company you spend money on monthly and ask them to lower the fee. Most of the time they will. They don't really know that they're my only option. I mean, the person on customer service doesn't know that I'm their only option, or that they're my only option, I should say. So they lower the fee. So that saves me almost $30 a month. I also run my trash bill through my business because technically we wouldn't have to pay for trash. Like, we could burn our trash. I don't know what the regulations are where you live. Some places allow you to burn your trash. Some places have a dump or place you can take your garbage to the landfill yourself or whatever. So, but because I do have a business and I want the trash pickup, I run it through my business. So it's an expense for me, which is great because there's a lot of things that you would typically just pay for. But when you have a business, if it's considered a necessity, or if it makes sense that you use it for your business, you can expense it and not pay taxes on that. Okay, the other expenses you may have is something like iCloud or Dropbox, like I talked about before, or Google G Suite. So any kind of cloud storage. I have all three. I use G Suite, that's connected to my domain. I also have a paid Dropbox account that's about $80 a year, mainly because I don't want the limits. I want as much space as possible because I put a ton of stuff in there. And iCloud because it backs up everything on my Mac and my phone. So I run my business with a MacBook Air, a 2016 MacBook Air, and an iPhone 8S. So both of those are about 2 years old. I don't feel the need to upgrade my technology every single year. They're totally fine. They run great. I don't even have a high-powered desktop or a MacBook Pro. And I'm good. I can do everything I need very quickly. That's all I need. So I do have iCloud, so I can back up everything with iCloud so that, heaven forbid, I should have some kind of computer crash or I lose my phone or anything like that, I don't lose my data. So backups are very important, and iCloud is like $2.99 a month, so that's next to nothing. Like $2.99, not $299. $2.99, so $3 a month for iCloud. I do recommend that you get that. My other big expense right now is bookkeeping, which is $95 a month, and I use Bench Bookkeeping, so it's bench.co. I will put a link in the show notes to Bench. and you can get $150 off your first charge. So whether it's your first month or your first year paid in advance, you'll get $150 off. And Bench has literally saved me so much time and so much frustration. I used to track all of my expenses on a spreadsheet, and you may think that you want to do that. That's totally fine. In fact, in my course, I give everyone in my course my expense sheet that I used to use to track everything in Google Sheets or Excel. It's just a spreadsheet. And that was fine when I was first getting started, but I realized that I was missing things, and there were certain expenses and income that I had forgot to put in there, or I totally forgot about until I couldn't match something up at the end of the year on my bank statement, and then it was a nightmare trying to track that down, trying to search through all my old emails. So Bench, I literally spend maybe 5 minutes a month only when I have to answer a question they have about what a specific expense category something belongs in. That's it. And then at the end of the year, they give me all of my tax-ready statements for my business, and I don't have to think about it or touch it. I just have it all there, ready to go, and it's wonderful. So I highly recommend that, especially once you're making, over like a couple thousand, or if you're around 2,000 a month, you might want to just go ahead and get Bench Bookkeeping, because that's like 5% of your monthly income, and it saves you so much time. It really does. So I highly recommend that. Unless you're a bookkeeper or something and you actually like doing that, that's one area that I am all too happy to outsource to someone else. Now, I have a education and association expense of $37 a month. Now, there are several international virtual assistant organizations I belong to. The IVAA.org is one, and I will put a link to them in the show notes. I like IVAA because clients put requests for proposals in a system in IVAA, and all of the virtual assistants who are members get notifications in their inbox of requests for proposals. So you get lots of opportunities to quote new clients on there. In fact, my biggest client came through IVAA, and she is by far my most profitable client to date. And I believe it's $120 some or $130 some a year to belong to IVAA. So it ends up being around $10 a month, but one client will completely pay for that and then some. So totally worth it. The other association is Virtual Assistant Insiders, and I will put a link to that also. They're a great organization as well. They also have a request for quotes on their secret forums for members. So you want to maybe check them out. There's a bunch of other ones too, but I haven't found them to be as helpful as IVAA and VA Insiders, because IVAA and VA Insiders also have monthly tutorial talks. They have meetup groups. They have forums. All kinds of things, retreats online and in person every year. There's a lot of support with that. And I highly recommend when you're first getting started to connect with a group like that for just the networking opportunities, the moral support, and the client opportunities when you want to submit a quote. And then my website hosting I already mentioned, and my Dropbox I already mentioned, and that's about it. So my total expenses are $324, but that includes several things that you probably wouldn't consider exclusively a business expense, like the internet, the trash, the active campaign email, the cell phone, because you probably already have a cell phone. So my actual expenses are less than $200, and my income is over $5,000. So it's less than 5% of my total profits right now. Now, I should say, though, that doesn't include my team members. So my virtual assistants that help me with my own businesses, that doesn't include them, but that's not going to be something you need to worry about at the beginning, and that's going to be very unique and personal to you based on if you even want to have a team. If you're going to expand and get into six figures, you're probably going to need that. But just off the bat, that's not something you really need to worry about yet. I do dedicate an entire module in the Making It Pay lifestyle course to outsourcing and how much to pay people and where to find them and what you need to look for and what things are good to outsource and how to manage a team with project management software. But we really don't need to get into that at the beginning. I don't want to overwhelm you. What I really wanted to focus on is that there's very, very little overhead. You don't need to have a lot of specialized skills at the beginning. I do recommend that virtual assistants are continually learning and upskilling on specific platforms and specific skills as they go along, mainly because you can charge more that way. I mean, if you just know how to go through emails and send emails and do some basic Google research and respond to customers' requests or post a social media post here and there or respond to people's social media posts for clients, you can definitely get started right away and, charge $15 or $20 an hour. But if you want to make, at least $35 to $50 and more dollars an hour, you need to have some specialized skills. So right now I work about, I change it every couple of months. So I actually track in a spreadsheet how many hours I'm working and what my hourly expenses are. But I work about 16 hours a week and make about $70 an hour after expenses. So I do not charge $70 an hour to my clients. The way I'm usually able to do this is by quoting packages. Now, I do have a couple of clients who I charge hourly, and it's not $70 an hour. But I do have other clients who just want certain things done a month and pay a flat fee every month, and they just want that stuff done. They don't ask how long it takes or anything like that. And I've gotten so fast at doing that, and they've increased their packages and had me do more of things that are pretty related, that I end up making a lot more per hour on those clients. So you can do it both ways. I like to kind of have a hybrid approach, and I like to have packages and hourly type things because some clients, their needs change from week to week or month to month, or perhaps they have clients and maybe they lose a client, maybe they get a client, maybe one client needs more attention than the other, and there's really just no way to accurately quote a package to them unless I were to set it sky high and basically say, okay, I'll do whatever you want, which I don't recommend doing. You'll never have a life. So for some of my clients, I like to take a systematized approach of what I do when, but sometimes the workload varies. So I do charge hourly for several of them, but I do it on a retainer basis. And the way I do that is by charging them 50% upfront when the retainer starts and 50% when it's done. The reason I do not charge all at once before the retainer begins, because some people suggest doing this, I don't, because I feel like my hourly rate has a little bit of margin in there. And most of my clients don't even always use all of their retainer hours. And even if I had a client stiff me, I would have at least gotten 50%. Now, if they don't pay the invoice at the end, the last 50% at the end of the retainer, then of course I'm not going to do work with them anymore. But at least when they prepay 50%, I've got my butt covered for 50%. And I'm not too sad because it's not like I got stiffed for an entire month's worth of work. I just got paid a little less, and I factor that in. I also factor in the fact that some of my clients never use all of their hours, so that helps give me a little bit of margin as well. And then, of course, I do have packages where I just say, this is how many posts I'll do, or this is how many blog posts I'll do, or this is what your package will consist of every single month. Everything stays the same, and they don't care how long it takes me, and I can usually get it done super fast now. So it's kind of you do all this, and I'm good with that, and I'll pay you this because that's how much it's worth to me. So the faster you get and the more you learn, the more your hourly rate will go up. So you can decide what you want to do in your own business. Some people prefer hourly, some people prefer packages. It might also depend on the type of client that you have and the services that you're offering. I offer a wide range of services. I have a lot of higher end specialties, and I also have very basic things that I do for clients. I also have a very wide ranging clients. A lot of people, in fact, almost everyone you hear will tell you to niche down, pick your specialty, offer a handful of services, and only offer it to these types of clients. Become well known as the fitness blogger virtual assistant, or the financial podcast virtual assistant, or you're the dentist virtual assistant. And while that may be great if you want to box yourself in, and you probably will become known as that, I think that's horrible for growth. I don't understand that. I'm the type of person who I want to be exposed to a wide variety of industries. I want to expand my skills into all different areas that I may not have even considered before. I want to offer my services to clients all around the world and in all different aspects of life, because that only makes me better at what I do. And I can pull from experiences that I've had with other clients and say, oh my gosh, like this tactic or this approach might work really well for this client. Or I can set up a system for one of my clients that has an agency and work with a completely different agency in a different part of the world with different kinds of clients and use the same systems because it's worked for one and another. Or I can then get an idea for setting up something for a consultant or an author client of mine because I've had experience in all different sorts of things. Now, this might be a personality thing because I love to learn, and I would get bored out of my mind if all I ever did was serve dentists and everything I did was for dentists. I think I would go crazy. But that might be what you want. You might want to only focus on one thing. That's all you care about, and that's going to be your niche, and that's totally fine. So I'm not saying do that or don't do that. I'm just saying I don't do that. I do not niche myself down for services, and I do not niche myself down for client bases, and I'm doing just fine. And I work very little for the amount of money I make, and I like it that way. And I feel like I've learned so much more by doing that rather than just picking one area and getting stuck in it. So that's just my personal opinion, but I wanted to throw that out there, that it's really, don't feel bad if you feel like you can't pick. Just get out there and get started with anybody who comes your way, as long as, you know, it seems like you're a good working fit. You've got, you know, your personalities mesh, your strengths match their weaknesses, and vice versa. Just get yourself out there. Don't worry if they're not maybe in your ideal niche to start. You can always rebrand. You can always niche down later on if you want to do that. If you found your passion and that's where you want to go, you can do that later on. You can find other clients in your new desired niche and kind of weed out the ones who don't fit as you find new ones that replace them. So I just want to talk a little bit about some of the steps in the Making It Pay lifestyle course that I go over. Depending on when this podcast airs, it may be open for enrollment. So I'm planning on launching it for enrollment again this year, sometime in the first quarter of 2019. So either in February or March, because it's January now. But if you do not hear from me, or I do not update the show notes saying that it's ready for launch, you can go to makingitpaytostay.com/waitlist and get on the waitlist, and then you'll definitely know. So you don't have to worry about that. I will tell you when it opens. And I'm also holding a contest that is open now. It's kind of a raffle contest, and I got this idea, and I think it's pretty cool because it's kind of like a side hustle, but it's kind of like an opportunity and giving something away, but not quite. So let me explain what it is. I read a story last week about a lady who had a $25 million home or something like that she wanted to sell, and she put it on the market, and it just sat there for months and months, and there was no buyers, and she didn't really want to lower the price. So she decided to hold a raffle contest and said she would sell her home to someone for $25, but they had to write a 350-word essay and spend $25 to enter, and she would pick the winning entry and sell her house for $25. The stipulation was she had to get all the money that she normally would have gotten for her house. So she had whatever it was, 1 million entries. Or if it was $25 an entry and she wanted to sell her house for $25 million, then she was accepting 1 million entries. So 1 million essays she had to read. I think it was less money than that. But somebody's going to get her house for $25. So I thought, what an ingenious idea. And I wanted to run a contest to give away a copy of my course, or access to my course, I should say, not a copy, but access to the course. You get everything in the course that everyone who pays for it full price does. So all 20 steps. Last year it was 12 steps. I've added some more steps and I've streamlined, so it's now 20 steps. All the bonuses, all the previous coaching call archives, all of the upcoming new coaching calls that I'll be doing for this launch period, everything that everyone else gets, but you'll be getting it for an entry fee of $10. But I decided to kind of do what this lady did. I want people to write a 350-word essay on why they or someone they want to win it. So you can enter yourself, or you can pick someone you love or someone you know who would greatly benefit from starting their own business and nominate them. But every entry needs a 350-word blurb about why you should win, or why the person you're nominating should win. And I'm going to read all of them, and I'm going to limit it to 50 entries. So once I hit $500, and the course is $497, but I figured I'll make it easy and do the $500, and then the fee PayPal takes will pay for itself then. So I'm going to limit it to 50 entries. It's $10 to enter, and the only stipulation is you have to give me about a 350-word or less reason why you should win. And I'm going to read each and every one. I was going to give it away, but I did give it away. I gave away access last year during a live summit for IVAA, and I don't think the person ever even accessed it. And here's why. If you don't pay for something, even a little bit, it doesn't hurt enough to use it. So when you get something for free, you don't appreciate it. You can see this in society as a whole. You can see it with kids who are spoiled. You can see it with people who get handouts. If you don't somehow have a little bit of loss or pain associated with something, or you don't value something enough to spend money on it, you're not going to value it enough to apply it to your life. That's why a lot of times they say people should join gyms rather than work at home, because if they know they're paying that monthly fee, they feel like they need to use it. Now, that might be not the greatest example in the world, but it's definitely true for bettering yourself in your career. If you pay for a course, you're going to use it. Now, $10, I'm still running the risk of someone not using it because, hey, it's only $10. But I felt like if they also had to take a little bit of time and give me a reason why they think they should win it, or why someone else should win it that they nominate, and pay the $10, then it's a little harder than just entering your email address for a chance to win. And maybe you'll even look at the course. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll totally forget about it when the time comes and you won't appreciate it. So that's what I'm doing. In the pre-launch phase of the Making It Pay lifestyle course, I'm opening it up. So you have to pay $10. You go right through PayPal. After you pay, you get redirected to a Google form that I set up, and you have to put your name and your email address, and then in 350 words or less, you tell me why you want to win. You can even type it up on a document or PDF or do a presentation or whatever, and upload a file if you prefer to do it that way. But I really want to find out why people want to win and what their pain points are. And is it just because of finances, or is it because they really want to change their life, or is someone struggling for another reason? I want to know, and I want to read them all, and then I want to pick one that I feel like really deserves to win the course. So if you want to sign up and enter, remember it's $10 and you have to tell me why. You go to makingitpaytostay.com/contest. And once I hit 50 entries, I'll shut it off and I will announce the winner and give them access to the course. And it'll be right around the time I launch the full course so that they get the same, so that they're on the same timeline as everyone else. So it is self-paced. You can take as little or as long as you want to go through the course, but it's a cool opportunity. So anyway, that was a long tangent, but I want to get back to the steps that I cover in the Making It Pay lifestyle course. So step number 1 is how to get started the right way. It's all about mindset. It's a lot about mindset. And it's a lot about setting yourself up for success, setting yourself up to profit, setting yourself up to have confidence and know that you can do something. There are several big virtual assistant courses out there that are very well known and are also twice the price of mine. And they really don't cover this enough, if they even mention it at all. And I put that as step number 1 because I know for a fact that's the biggest thing standing in people's way. It's fear of failure, it's fear that they can't go through the course, it's fear that they can't learn something new. And I want to completely shatter those limiting beliefs right off the bat, because it's true. You could take my course, but if you've got a horrible mindset and you think you're a failure and you don't think you're going to succeed and you don't think you can learn new things and you think other people are better than you, and well, other people are successful but you'll never be, or well, Sherry, you make over $5,000 a month but I could never do that, then you're right, you're never going to succeed. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that is so true. So if you don't have a good mindset, there's no point in even going through the rest of the course. So that's step number 1 in the course. Step number 2 is a checklist before you're officially a business owner. So those are things you need to do before you decide on forming your business. What kind of business you're going to have, the structure of it all, what you need to do as far as background checks for trademarks and copyrights and registered businesses and all of that. Step number 3 is the steps and checklist for starting a business. So step number 2 is before you start. Step number 3 is what you do to start. And I take you through everything. How to get an EIN number, how to file an LLC if you want to do that, how to find insurance, what kind of insurance you should have if you go that route, which I highly suggest, starting a checking account, opening a business credit card, your business registration and all of that. So those are the things that you need to do once you're like, okay, I've got my business name. I've researched all the things ahead of time. I know that this is available and this is what I need to do to be official. Step number 4 is securing your domain and maximizing your own piece of online real estate. So that's all about making sure you nail down a good domain name, where to find it inexpensively, how to set up your website. We actually go over that more about creating your website later on, but it's basically just making sure you get all of your areas online nailed down with your business name. And sometimes, and we go over this in step number 7, sometimes you won't get the social media profile name for your business because someone else has taken it, but we go over like how to get around that, kind of ways you can tweak the name of your business to still make sense. So that is step number 4. Step number 5 is making it pay, which goes over setting up your online payment processors and merchant accounts. So this is going in once you've had your business account and credit card account set up. You want to create accounts in PayPal, Square, Stripe, all of those. I tell you how to do that, why you need to do that, and it's fairly simple, but I give you step-by-step instructions for all of that because you want to get paid by your clients, and most clients aren't going to send you a check. Most of them want to be automatically billed, and I'm making it easy on you. In fact, Square is probably my favorite out of those, and I will put a link in the show notes to Square because I have a link that will give you your first $1,000 in transactions fee-free. That means no fees, because all of these credit card processors charge about 3% of everything that comes through. Now, you might not think that's a big ordeal, but for every $1,000, you're paying $30 in fees. So when you're making $5,000 a month, that's $150 in fees every single month, just in fees. So you definitely want to sign up for Square through my link so you get your first $1,000 without a fee. That's essentially saving you $30 right off the bat. Okay, step number 6 is the psychology of branding, colors, and symbols. Now, I know a lot of people want to jump in and start designing their logo before they've even made sure that their business name is available, or made sure that their domain is available, or made sure nobody else already has that trademarked or whatever. So I leave this for step number 6. You need to wait until you've got all those other things in place before you go thinking about logos and branding your business. So I talk about the psychology of it and what people think of when they see specific colors and what kind of a feeling you want to convey to your clients when you go into business. You don't have to be super professional. Like, I Assist Virtually is navy blue and gray and turquoise. I mean, it's very no nonsense, but that's just how I am, and it just fits my style. I'm very logical, straightforward, professional, whatever. But you might be like super fun and funky and bold, and you want to do pink and purple and orange and whatever. That's fine. You know, there's no rule that says you have to stick with boring, bland colors like I do. That just happens to be colors I also like, and it kind of fits the way I do business. But if you're a real creative person and you want to do like lots of graphics as a virtual assistant and things, and you like coloring your hair every other week, some crazy color, then by all means, you know, make it super colorful. But you'll see what people think and feel when they see specific colors. And there's a lot of good ideas there for like putting colors together and then picking your logo and all of that. So after you do that is step number 7, which is setting up your social media profiles. Now, I do have you go through all your logos and all of that and your colors because you're going to need that when you go to set up your social media profiles, because you're going to want to have profile pictures and cover images and things that just make sense and go with your brand. And I tell you how to set all of those profiles up and how often to post and all of that. Creating your website is step number 8, because you want to get all of the other things done, but you also need to have all of the steps before number 8, before you create your website. Because on your website, you're going to have links to your social media profiles. You're going to have your branding colors, your logos. You're going to have your maybe payment options on your website. You're going to have your name on your website. You'll already have had your domain, but this is going to be actually creating your website. So I talk about what pages you need to have, if you should blog or how much. I get into blogging a little more later on, but I give you tutorials on how to set it up as well. And I think I have some discount fees in there also. But anyway, step number 7 is setting up your email autoresponder. So this is one of the next things you want to do after you set up your website is get some kind of an email list connected to that, so that when people start contacting you for inquiries about your services, you have them on your email list. And you can send out an automated email as soon as someone signs up, perhaps with a freebie to get people to opt into your website, or you can just send a monthly newsletter, but you definitely want to be collecting the emails of people who look into your services, because even if they don't sign up with you like right away, or even a couple months from after they contact you, you never know where they're going to be at their business a year or two down the road. And if they're constantly hearing from you, not constantly, you don't want to be annoying, but if they're consistently hearing from you, maybe every month or every other month, you're still getting their attention, and they're going to remember, oh yeah, so-and-so does offer this virtual assistant service that I need, and now I'm in a different place, or I'm making more money, or I have more of a need for this right now. I'm going to reach out. So you want to keep them on your email list. Step number 10 is the 5 must-have pages on your website. So for a virtual assistant business, you don't need to go crazy. You don't need to have a million different pages on your website. You could have a blog, which I think is important for SEO, search engine optimization. That's for people to be able to find you. It's also good if you're planning on doing any kind of writing or editing for your clients, because they can get a feel for your voice and they can see how well you do write by looking at your blog. But there's other pages that you definitely want to have on your website, and it's not very complicated. You can definitely get away with a website that has 5 pages or less. You might be able to condense 1 or 2 of those or get rid of them, but I go over what they are and why you need to have them in step 10. Step number 11 is blogging 101. So this is all about blogs, how often you should blog, how to do the SEO on your blog, how to do a blog post with an image, and all of that. I do not go deep into all of the logistics with blogging, because you could be a virtual assistant who provides blogging services, or you may not want to do that. So I definitely give it a good overview, but it's not a blogging course in and of itself. Step number 12 is Google Analytics. That is good for you to know who is coming to your site and how long they're staying on there and where they're coming from. That'll help you determine where your clients are coming from. It's also good to learn how to install little snippets of code and understand Google Analytics for your clients, because that's definitely a service that a lot of clients want. Step 13 is SEO tips. So this is how to make your site search engine optimized, and how to use keywords and how to use plugins that will help you that are free. It's good to know how to make your site more noticeable and more likely to be found quickly when people are looking for the keywords you're using. And it's also good to know for clients as well. Step 14 is email marketing with newsletters. So this is basically the ins and outs of how often to send email marketing newsletters out, or what types of things to say, or headlines that'll grab people's attention, what services to use and which ones I recommend and which ones I don't recommend. So I go into all of that, and email marketing is a big service, or a popular service for virtual assistants to offer. And most people expect virtual assistants to know the ins and outs of email marketing. Step 15 is social media marketing. This is another huge skill that all VAs should know fairly well. You might not want to offer it. You might hate social media marketing, but you should know it for not only marketing yourself, but even if every once in a while something comes up for a client that they need your help with, it's just helpful to know. And you'll be a lot more marketable if you know social media marketing, even if you don't want to offer it as a service. Step 16 is know your worth, and this is pricing and scaling from massive income. So this is like how much to charge, how to send your proposal, how to have the right mindset about charging, how to scale your business in the future, even if you just start out as a one-man show for a couple hours a week, how to grow your virtual assistant business as much as you want. Step 17 is where to find clients. So I give a lot of places of where to find clients and how to find them and how to reach out and how to not be sleazy or spammy or salesy, but also confident and send proposals well. Step 18, I'm losing my voice. Step 18 is project management. This is crucial if you want to if you want to do project management as a virtual assistant, for sure, for your clients, if you want to be able to manage a team, but also managing your own to-do list and your own weekly tasks for yourself and for your clients. It's just really good to know how to do this. I tell you the tools that I use, how I go about it, some productivity tips, and all of that. Step 19 is health insurance options. Now, I do not go over the open marketplace healthcare options because that's going to be available to anyone who needs health insurance and doesn't have it, and it's going to be very specific to your situation. But I give you options that aren't that. Maybe options you haven't even considered that actually may be less expensive than you would have thought and give better coverage than you would have thought. So mainly health insurance options that aren't available in the mass area, like the healthcare.gov area for the open marketplace, but are definitely options if you're worried about paying for health insurance. So if maybe you're single or you are married with a spouse who doesn't have health insurance and you are going to be leaving a job that has health insurance and you're worried about how you're going to have it, this is a good module for that. Step 20 is taxes and bookkeeping. It's the last one because I hate it. Like I said earlier, I use Bench for bookkeeping, and I will put the link in the show notes to Bench. But I can't stand it. So for taxes, the good news is the new tax laws as of 2018. All sole proprietors, LLCs, and LLCs who are being taxed as an S Corp, they're all considered pass-through entities. Now, you might not need to know what that means, but what you do need to know is you're only going to be taxed on 80% of your profits. So that's awesome. It used to be 100%. So now 20% of your income's not being taxed, which is amazing. Now, I think there are some income limits, maybe over 150. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. You probably ought to look this up on your own because they're still tweaking and changing a few things here and there. But it's like an awesome time to start your own business. I mean, where else can you get 20% of your income not taxed? It's not going to be at your employer. I can tell you that. Unless, of course, you're funneling your money into your retirement funds, which you should be doing. So anyway, as far as having your taxes and bookkeeping taken care of course, always consult with a CPA for your own specific states and needs. No, you do not need to charge tax on virtual assistant services. That makes it a lot easier. But a CPA will be able to take a look at your specific situation, your specific income level, let you know, should you be taxed as an S Corp or not, how you should be protecting some of your taxes or tax deferred plans you should use compared to what your spouse has if you're married and things like that. So definitely talk with a CPA. This is not tax or legal advice in step 20, but it gives you an overview of like what I do and what I kind of think about the basics, and at least will give you an introduction. So then if you want to consult with your CPA later on or hire an accountant, you can. I do my own taxes through TurboTax. But I don't do my own bookkeeping because that's a pain in the butt. But my taxes for TurboTax, I mean, it's really easy. They have a self-employed option. I just enter the information they tell me. Bench Bookkeeping gives me all my reports that I just enter in the numbers, and that's that. So I don't have to keep track of a whole lot. Bench does that for me. Okay, then you're also going to get a ton of course bonuses, and the course bonuses are unbelievable. So there are so many templates and things you can download and get access to that you won't have to reinvent the wheel for, like proposal templates and client onboarding templates. And there's like 350 sales and marketing techniques and all kinds of ways to build your email lists. And I can't even remember how many things are in there, but it's like literally thousands of dollars worth of bonuses that I'm just giving for free with the course. And you can instantly download them and tailor them to whatever you need for your business. And then coaching call archives and future coaching calls. So coaching call archives are all from last year when I opened up the course to a small beta group. And I did a weekly call for coaching from April through pretty much the end of the year, like December. And every single week there weren't questions, but anytime there were, I got on there and I did coaching calls, answering people's questions. I did a ton of tutorials, like technical tutorials and how-tos. I put them all in this course. And when you join the Making It Pay Lifestyle course, I'm going to do 12 weekly coaching calls. So I'll do 12 weeks. I would say you can easily finish this course in 12 weeks. You can do 1 or 2 steps a week easily. Some of them take a little longer than others, but I'm going to do 12 of them, and then I'm going to kind of shut it down. So I feel like 3 months is a really good amount of time to really get the information in the course cemented and put into place. It'll be enough time for you to find your first client or two and get support from me while you're doing it. And ask for like additional tutorials or advice if you need help. So I have a private Facebook group that course members get to be a part of. It's archived right now, but when I launch the course again, sometime in February or March of 2019, I'm going to open it up, and all the people who took the beta course are also going to be in there. So they've already gone through the course. They've seen all of my coaching call archives. They'll be able to help as well. So you'll have a support system of not just me, but the people who went through the course all last year. And they're ones that kind of helped me figure out what needed to change, what I needed to focus on more. So I'm really excited about launching it this year. So if you're interested and you want to be a virtual assistant, my course will definitely help. One of my course students decided to open up a virtual assistant business, replaced her previous income she was making within 3 months. She's got several clients. She travels all the time. I guess I should say retired, but she's doing this on her own terms. And she's killing it. So I'm excited. A couple other people have other things going on. There's another virtual assistant in the group. She already had a virtual assistant business going, but so she's in there. She already had it done for a while, or not the course, but she already had her business running for a while. There's a blogger in there. So you'll definitely be able to bounce ideas off of people in different industries and different niches. And it doesn't just cover being a virtual assistant. All of these things are necessary to be a virtual assistant, but this is literally all the steps you need to run any kind of online business. I mean, this is good for an Etsy store owner. You should know all of this. If you want to open an Etsy store, if you want to sell stuff on eBay or Amazon, you should know all of these things. It's basically how to run a successful online business. You could do products, you could do services, you could do copywriting, you could be a copywriter or a proofreader, you could just be a blogger, whatever. You could be a podcaster. But all of these things you need to know to open an online business. And I know some of the other virtual assistant courses out there are twice the amount of money. They don't cover nearly what I do. And I'm really proud about this. I don't want to put anything out there unless I'm extremely over-delivering, and I know that I am on this, especially compared to some of the other options out there. This is like the most comprehensive out there and applies to practically any industry, not just virtual assistant business. So if you want to have multiple side hustles, which you probably do if you're listening to this podcast, this is perfect for you. This course is perfect. So if you want to sign up for the waitlist, go to makingitpaytostay.com/waitlist, all one word. And if you want to enter the raffle contest, it's $10 to enter, 350 words or less. You go to makingitpaytostay.com/contest. Once I get 50 people in there, I will go through and pick a winner, and you'll get access to the course for just $10. And yes, you can nominate someone else. So if you have a friend or family member and you want to really invest in their future, spend $10 and tell me why they deserve to have this course. And I bet they'll be thanking you, especially if you completely change their life and enable them to start their own side hustle or fully fledged online business. So that's it for this episode. Today's episode is brought to you by no sponsors because I don't have any yet. Or I could just say it's sponsored by the Making It Pay lifestyle course, which I've already told you about. All the things I've talked about today will be linked in the show notes, so be sure to check them out and share this with a friend. Please review on iTunes, share the podcast, sign up for the email list, tell all your friends about it, and until next time, this is my side hustle.